When anxiety won't let go, a brain-based perspective grounded in decades of research. Most adults who reach out to our practice are not new to anxiety. They've lived with it for years, sometimes decades. They've tried to reason with it, outthink it, manage it, tolerate it, and push through it. Many have done good therapy, practiced mindfulness, exercise, changed diets, taken medication, or all of the above. What brings them here is not a lack of effort or insight, but the quiet realization that something deeper hasn't shifted. Anxiety is exhausting, not just emotionally, but physically and neurologically. Living in a body that never fully settles wears people down over time. When anxiety becomes chronic, it stops feeling like a response to life and starts feeling like the background setting of the nervous system itself. This distinction matters because it changes how we think about treatment. So what does the research now tell us about anxiety? Over the past several decades, neuroscience has clarified that many anxiety disorders are not primarily problems of thinking, but problems of brain regulation. EEG research consistently shows patterns of excessive arousal, particularly fast-frequency brain activity associated with vigilance, threat monitoring, and rumination. These patterns can persist even when life is objectively stable and a person knows better cognitively. This is where neurofeedback enters the conversation, not as a replacement for other approaches, but as a fundamentally different one. Comprehensive reviews published as recently as 2023 conclude that EEG-based neurofeedback for anxiety disorders meets level 4 to 5 evidence using established clinical efficacy standards. Level 5 represents the highest tier, indicating that an intervention is both efficacious and specific, supported by randomized controlled trials and independent replication. Generalized anxiety, chronic anxiety, and anxiety with depression reach level 5, while panic disorder, social anxiety, and trait anxiety fall solidly within high level 4. These are not fringe findings. They are the result of decades of careful research. So how does neurofeedback work without forcing change? Neurofeedback is a form of brain training. It uses real-time EEG information to help the brain recognize and gradually shift patterns of overactivation and instability. Nothing is stimulated. Nothing is imposed. The brain is not made to calm down. Instead, it learns through feedback how to regulate itself more efficiently. For anxiety, this typically involves reducing excessive high-frequency activity linked to hypervigilance and strengthening stabilizing rhythms associated with calm focus and inhibitory control. As regulation improves, many people notice that anxiety loses its grip. Thoughts don't spiral as quickly. The body recovers faster after stress. Sleep improves. The nervous system feels less fragile. Importantly, these changes tend to feel natural rather than effortful. So why is neurofeedback different from other anxiety treatments? Many traditional approaches to anxiety are valuable, but they tend to work around the nervous system rather than on it. Therapy can improve insight and coping. Medication can reduce symptom intensity. Mindfulness can increase awareness and tolerance. These tools often help people function better, but they may not change the baseline state of the nervous system itself. Neurofeedback is different because it targets regulation at the source. This distinction becomes especially important when we look at long-term outcomes. So then, how do the common anxiety treatments compare? The column labeled "Proven Change in Brain Regulation" is key here. It reflects whether an intervention has been shown to produce measurable changes in brain activity that persist after treatment ends. Across the anxiety literature, EEG neurofeedback stands apart in this regard. Why does this matter for people who've tried everything? When anxiety returns after treatment, people often blame themselves. They assume they didn't try hard enough, practice enough, or commit enough. In reality, many did everything asked of them while living in a nervous system that remained biologically primed for threat. This is not a personal failure. It is a regulatory one. Neurofeedback offers a way to work with the nervous system directly, rather than constantly compensating for it. For many adults, this is the missing layer that allows other therapies, insights, and life changes to finally take hold. Why is our approach different? Neurofeedback is not a plug-and-play solution, and it shouldn't be treated like one. Outcomes depend heavily on how carefully the work is done and how well it is matched to the person in front of us. At our practice, we combine what the research tells us with close attention to your individual nervous system, your history, and how your brain responds over time. We typically begin with stabilization, then move into targeted regulation, making thoughtful adjustments as your brain learns and changes. This is not one-size-fits-all work, and it was never meant to be. Many of the people who reach out to us have been living with anxiety for a long time. They are not looking for another strategy to manage symptoms or another technique to push through the day. They are looking for something that helps their nervous system genuinely settle and hold that change. If that sounds familiar, a brain-based approach like neurofeedback may be worth exploring, not because you haven't tried hard enough, but because your brain may need a different kind of support. If you'd like to explore whether neurofeedback is a good fit for you, I offer a free consultation where we can talk through your history, your questions, and whether this approach makes sense for your situation. You can schedule that conversation through our website at www.capitaldistrictneurofeedback.com, or you're welcome to call our office directly at 518-606-3805. There's no pressure and no obligation, just a chance to get clarity and decide on next steps together.